Hey Bass Angler Magazine, I'm Cody Meyer, and I want to share today with you guys a couple really key spotted bass tips for fishing in the wintertime. Now, one thing I like to do in the wintertime is fish a jig. Now, you got to remember, it's going to be really cold out. You know, the fish are not active right now. We're not active, so you got to fish really, really slow. A bass's metabolism in the wintertime is going to be so much lower than, let's say, the fall or the spring. So keep that in mind where, you know, instead of hopping a jig really fast, really slow it down. I mean, even those crawdads, they're going to be barely moving along the bottom, and the bass are really going to be keyed into that. And they might only have to eat one crawdad a day or maybe two compared to, you know, 3 or 4. A couple things I like on the jig. This is a new Jackal Spade jig, and it's got a really unique crimp skirt, which is going to be really lively in the water. You know, I like to always throw a hand-tied jig. The reason for the hand-tied jig, I think it's really important, is you know, let's say you're fishing that jig super slow along the bottom, you're feeling every rock, all of a sudden the bass comes up and bites it, you swing and you miss it. It's not going to pull the skirt down, and you're going to get a second chance at that fish. As far as jigs, you know, I like, you know, an Arky style football head or Arky style jig or a football head. You know, if I'm fishing pretty deep, let's say 25 to 50 feet, which these spotted bass will get in these clear California lakes, I like the football head. And, you know, skirt will vary between the silicone, the living rubber. As far as a trailer, you know, something as subtle as like this Jackal Darts Hog to a Yamamoto Twin Tail Grub, you can't go wrong with that. I know a lot of guys even fish the old the pork, and you know, nothing wrong with that, especially when the water's colder. And one key thing with jig fishing in the wintertime is how the fish are going to bite this. You know, a spotted bass, like I said before, they're going to be so inactive, and you know, their metabolism slow. A lot of times they'll come up to this jig with their mouth closed and hit that jig, and they're going to try to stun or kill that crawfish. Instead of just opening it up and inhaling the jig, they're going to hit it, try to pin it on the bottom and kill it, and then come back and eat it. So what I like to do, let's say I'm fishing this jig, you know, I'm dragging along the bottom. I like to, you know, try to feel every single rock. When a fish comes up and hits it, I'll stop, I'll reel up my slack, pull it again, and make sure I feel weight, and then I'll set the hook. And now I'll increase your chances of catching fish. You know, as far as where I'm going to throw this, I'm going to throw this wherever I feel like crawdads live. You know, crawdads in the wintertime, they like clay, they like rock. You know, so if you can get a mixture, you know, on a long, steep point, I mean, that's ideal for winter fishing. Another thing to think about with wintertime spotted bass, you know, sometimes they'll like to come up and get a little sun and a little heat. So they do like the little bit steeper transition points where it's easier for them to move up and down. So keep that in mind, and they'll get you a lot more bites. So the jig is just a must-have. You know, universal 7-foot to 7-foot 2-inch Shimano Kamara, Shimano Crucial rod is very important. You want a sensitive rod. You know, I like anywhere from an 8-pound to a 15-pound fluorocarbon. And, you know, of course, 8 is if it's gin clear water. The 15, you know, maybe the wind's blowing, it's a little bit muddier. But that's going to put a lot of fish in the boat, the jig, especially in the wintertime. Another thing is a drop shot. And this is the 4-inch Jackal Crosstail Shad. And it's a must-have. Let's say you go through an area, you throw the jig out there, you know, you catch a couple of fish, you could clean up some more fish with the crosstail, and same setup, you know, as maybe you throw in the fall. You're going to throw a, you know, a short leader, maybe a little bit shorter in the winter because the fish are closer to the bottom. You know, I'm going to step it up, use minimum of a 1/4 ounce sinker to a 3/8, and again, just fish this thing super slow. Cast it out, let it hit the bottom, and just drag it like you're going to drag that jig, and feel every rock. And you know, once you're feeling all those rocks and you get in tune with the bottom, most of the time that's when you're going to get your bite. And again, it's a must-have. You know, wintertime can be tough fishing, and there's no better drop shot bait than this Jackal Crosstail Shad. Hopefully these tips help you guys and catch more fish in the wintertime.